Okay, going onward, the recording is in progress, and I have already thanked the Bernal Church and the people in this room and in Zoom. We really want to thank Bernal Church for allowing us into this facility. And I'm just repeating this because I want them to hear this. We really appreciate them. They've been very helpful. One of our neighbors belongs to this church, and he came over to help us set up today. His name is Brian. He's a he's a teacher, and he's still got one more year to go. And then he wants to start traveling the world. So tonight you'll see and hear updates directly from local representatives. I hope that Mr. Casey can come here pretty quick. He usually comes a little bit later than the meeting starts. And we will hear from local representatives and our partners that we have along the way tonight. And we believe that it'll be interesting to you and to your family and friends. You can pass the word on what you heard tonight. And this comes directly from the people that you know are dealing with it. So it's pretty informative. And they're not here yet, but I will thank Mr. Casey when he walks in, and our Alyssa Logalbo from the Silicon Valley Land Trust, who will come tonight or in the offline, give us a presentation. We hope. If she doesn't, she's going to be online. So thank you, all that. And thank you, Jen, our friend, our great leader, our park partner for the new project at the park. If you go over by the tennis courts, you'll see what she's been up to. And Barbara will explain that all later. And the LPNA board here tonight is myself, Greg Peck, the chair, Karen Latin, vice president, Barbara Knupp, treasurer, and Lynn Steele, our secretary. And along with that part of the board is Alan Chan, who is the tech guru of not just this kind of stuff, but you can see his equipment over there. It's mind-boggling. He's helped me out of a lot of little things at home too. So it costs ice cream or so, but that's okay. And Herb Bowen, also. Herb's involved in CERT, Community Engagement Response Team efforts around the city of San Jose, not just in Los Paseos. He's already developed one. Wyman Pang online right now is also part of that. So thank you, Wyman. And also thank you, Herb, for what you're doing across the city. And to get the city and neighborhoods prepared in case of a major emergency, because it's going to happen all of a sudden and people are going to be scrambling all over the place. So it's nice to have localized groups that can kind of help out the neighborhoods. So thank you very much for that. And that's it. So, pardon? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I was just, sir. No. Also, we're very privileged tonight to have the president of the District 2 Leadership Group in District 2. And also, he's also the president of the Baskin Ridge Neighborhood Association right across the street from us, Monterey. To me, it's like right across the street. John is a very, I use the word very a lot, but John is extremely helpful in his neighborhood and also in District 2, educating people on what's going on. And he's involved with the city on quite a few projects. So thank you for being here, John, to listen, and thank you. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, let's get on with the program.
Okay. Why don't you go back to the agenda, just so people can see what we're going to do. So I'm Barbara, and I'm going to do the LPNA business. And then hopefully we will have someone from SJPD coming. It depends on what's going on in the city, and we never know for sure. Yeah, so we'll hopefully if they can, we'll have someone here. And Greg has something to talk about relative to that. Then District 10 Council Office with Councilmember Casey, and our main presenter, who is going to present on Tulare Hill, that behemoth in our backyards. And there's an interesting story there. Well, I'll talk about that later. Okay, can we move on? Alan? Greg, somebody? Okay, so we are going to introduce and ratify a new board member. And then we're going to talk about National Night Out. I have a brief update on Paseo #1 signposts. And then Karen is going to talk about updates on development issues in Coyote Valley. So on to the new board member. So we're going to be introducing Jen Holst, who is going to be a new member at large. Now, the board can appoint we can create a position for a member at large and appoint someone to it, but we are required under our bylaws to have it ratified by the members at the next meeting, which is what we will do tonight. But we're going to let Jen show you about her project. And I did have something to say. So Jen has been an enthusiastic supporter of LPNA probably from the very beginning. And she recently took on a very large project, took on and completed a very large product, but it will be an ongoing thing. And considering her commitment, we appointed her as an additional member at large at the board. And after she's had a chance to talk to you a little bit, then we will take a vote. Okay. Five.
I think everybody's aware of the circle garden next to the tennis courts. And if you haven't had a chance to walk through, please go walk through and kind of walk by. I always ask people in the morning when they do walk by, if you see any weeds, feel free to pick up a few and pop them in the trash. Honestly, I don't care if it's 1 or 5 little crabgrasses you pick up, everything you do helps. And it is a community spot, so I love community members getting involved. To give a brief idea of what we did, I was put on an awesome path to learn about native gardening, California native gardens. It was pretty incredible because I had a lot to learn. I did not realize it was so daunting, but at the same time is very exciting. Now I'm just sharing all the time, sharing the information all the time. So this project took, I would say, well over 70 volunteers to get it done. We had 2 different large events. We had 25 volunteers, not including board members, but 25 volunteers at each event. The first one was to clear the area and dig a ditch around the outside. And the second one was to actually plant and create holes for 41 plants. That's a lot of plants and a lot of digging. It went so well. Oh, there you are, the projects. How cool is that? We had all ages come out, all ages. It was really, really fantastic. I can't even thank the volunteers enough. Thank you, volunteers. You know who you are. You guys were amazing. I really appreciate you. Yeah,
And
definitely.
somebody who needs to get some credit is your husband.
Oh, he's amazing.
Damon, who was right behind you or in front of you or whatever.
Or side by side.
Or side by side through the whole process.
Yeah, even when he was sick. And in fact, a lot of the park crew have gotten to know him because he's adamant about going and checking on our babies. I'm like, okay, I guess these are our babies now. So yes, he's often there. You'll see him there. He used to be seen all the time at the tennis courts. Now he's seen often just checking on the plants, watering, literally with a cup.
Speaking of plants.
Yes, speaking of plants. So 40 plants you see in the ground. And we still have one yet. Oh, yes. Look at these beautiful asters. There's That's okay. We're doing the plants. If you showed up, you could see it on the screen. Come to the meeting. But we've got all kinds of plants. Goldenrods right now are in bloom, and they're going to even get bigger. We've got asters. We've got, you know what? In fact, I brought the folder of all the plants in case anybody was interested in knowing what's in the ground. Here's the information. My plant Bible is right here with every single plant. So if you find something that you really like and you want to know more about, you can give me a call. I'll have my cards here because I just got cards. That's great. But if there's anything you want to know or you'd like to volunteer, please just let me know. You can text me, call me, email me, and I'll be happy to. Oh, look at those sagebrushes. And that's my, oh my gosh. See, look, these are all the baby. I'm going to go out of camera again. Okay. Yeah, that's the buckwheat. Then we have the aster. These are the goldenrods. In the back, you can see a little spot of yellow. Those are actually the diamond heights. And then we've got some sagebrush, and behind them sage. And over here, I have my glasses. More buckwheat. Oh, the yarrow. And we have two different yarrows. And then we have the manzanita. And we do have, there's not just a single one of any one of these. There's several of each one. So unfortunately, we've also had the joy of of a critter really enjoying the narrow leaf milkweeds. So where we had 7, we now have 3. But we're trying to take care of that. So hopefully that problem will go away and we'll be good to go. We'll put in more next year. And what I was going to point out is there's one spot. It is on the southern end where we do have room for one more. And we're looking at the eastern redbud. So we're waiting for the season to get back into where it's a better time to actually plant that one. But we have such plans for this. So if you want to know more information, please contact me. Let me know. If you want to see any of the plants, just let me know. I've got, again, my plant Bible right here. You can see everything that's in the ground. And this, it doesn't end here. Like Barbara said, this is lifelong. It's longer than me, longer than I'll be here. This is the legacy. And for me, this is a community legacy. So I really would love for everybody to get involved. I don't care if you give me an hour. It could be 2 hours a month, anything. It's your community. I would love to see you get involved. I am very happy to share my excitement about it. And as we see it grow, I mean, Barbara's Garden has, was it 3 years now? 3.5? 4 plus. So 4+ years, you're going to get an idea of what this will look like. These plants are larger and will have more area to grow, but we have such plans. So please, please, please get involved and just let me know if you have any questions.
Okay. Well, the next slide is kind of important.
Is this where I say I do? I do.
No, you don't get an option here, kid. Okay. No matter what. Okay. Can we vote? Vote at the end. We vote now. Oh, no, but I wanted to get the slide up that explains how we're going to vote. There we go. So we have to figure out how to do this with people here in the room and people online. And what we're going to do is the people in the room will do it by a voice vote. The people online, we're going to make it easy for ourselves because I think we know what they're going to be. And we're just going to ask anyone who online who has a question or wants to not ratify, just put something in the chat. And then all we have to do is check and see if there's anything in the chat. All right. So for the Los Paseos residents, that's people who live, anyone who lives in Los Paseos is automatically a member and can vote. So if you live in Los Paseos and and you want to vote, you can vote right now. And first of all, those in favor, say aye. Okay. Any opposed, say nay? No?
Did you just say nay, Karen?
You said. All right, we'll move on. And can we check the chat to see if there's anything? Okay, what do we see in the chat? In favor? Okay. Wyman's in.
Thank you, Wyman.
Well, it could have been a question. Okay, so we now have a unanimous vote, and now Jen is now a ratified board member.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay. And one more slide. And then we're done with slides. Okay, the next topic is National Night Out. We've been doing National Night Out since our very first year in existence, I believe, or maybe our second year in existence. And it's always on the first Tuesday in August, and this year it's August 4th. And we're going to be doing the same things that we've been doing for the past years with free pizza, ice cream, Brian the Bubble Guy, the Crimson Blues Band, etc. Hopefully, we'll have police and fire representatives coming. Again, that depends on what's going on in the city, but they usually make it. And several different police groups frequently join us. So fun games, chalk art contest for kids, lots of fun. Now this year, we're going to be a little bit challenged because the city has reduced the amount of money that they're giving to neighborhood groups. So we're going to be looking for ways for. I was trying to be gentle. So the maximum that you could get was 5,000, and you have put it up for different purposes. And I think last year, 2,500 was what was allocated to National Night Out. So we have to find a way to replace some money, gain more sponsors, ask our sponsors for a little more money. We may be asking members to contribute voluntary dues. We haven't, and we also, there's still some possibility that we might wring some money out of other sources, government sources. But so far it's been all talk and no money. So we hope that you guys will all turn out for that. All right. Oh, yes. And it takes about 30 volunteers to run the event. And to help with setup and takedown, to man the sign-in table. Now, manning the signing table is an easy job because that's a sit-down job. So, and we need 2 people every hour. So we need at least 6 people to volunteer for that. Then there's also passing out pizza and a few other tasks around. It depended on how you counted it. It was between 750 and 810, depending on whether you counted it. Depending on whether you counted it by tickets or by signatures on the sign-in sheets, or.
We end up getting everybody. All those guys, which is fine.
We take over the park, and we feel that the neighborhoods across Santa Teresa, it's their park too. So we don't put any discrimination on that. Yeah. Okay. And a couple more topics. No, there's no more slides. So you can just put it back to the room or whatever. One other thing I said we were going to talk about, and this is going to be fairly brief, the Paseo #1 signposts. We 7 years ago, Greg and a young scout working for his Eagle Scout certification created wooden posts marked for every street that meets the Paseo #1. And it was really great because I never knew where I was on there. And it was great to see the street signs. But they've weathered in 7 years. And so we took them down, and Greg is now in the process of refurbishing them. And he could use some help. So if anybody is interested in doing some light woodwork and or would like to learn, Greg can use some help. He's going to use a more durable finish on the final product, so that hopefully it will stand up to the weather for a longer period of time. And anyone can contact Greg either on our website, LosPaseosNeighbors.com, with the Contact Us button to click, or they can send an email to Greg as president@LosPaseosNeighbors.com. Oh, that's right. The website is iffy. So best the president@LosPaseosNeighbors.com email. Yeah, no, I can understand. Yeah. No, it's a matter of that they need to be refurbished.
There, but we're going to fix up the 3, put it back, and then take the other ones out. We're going to take them, fix up the 3 that we took out. They're over at my shop, and we'll put those back, and then we'll go start taking off one by one and fix all the other ones. So nobody's stealing them, thank heavens. Yes. Thank you, Barbara.
All right. The next item on the agenda is the last item.
We're also working on benches. Got parts of it, give us some bench. So I've been, it's been talked about. A lot of older people like myself need to stop and sit at a bench. So we're going to try to get a few at the sale 1, do that. I just got to check with the neighbors. Parks has got benches for me. It's just getting DOT or Public Works, whoever owns that, to approve it, because we don't want homeless people, sleeping on them. So yeah, we'll be working towards getting the benches on there, and then maybe following through over on the other side too. So that's in the plans.
Okay. And the last item on the LPNA agenda is Karen's going to give a little update on the some of the concerning development projects in Coyote Valley.
Okay, hello everybody. So I think some of you might be familiar with Alice Kaufman of Green Foothills, and she wasn't able to be here in person or online, so she just kind of typed a few sentences for me to let everybody know. I think, is everybody here aware of the AES battery storage facility that they're proposing in Coyote Valley? Everybody, okay. So this is kind of where the Spina farm used to be. That I think that that kind of whole square area. So basically OSA, there was a vote in the Open Space Authority a few weeks ago. OSA voted it down. The city of San Jose voted against it, I think back in 2022, but there's some rule that the developer can go directly to the California Energy Commission. And so that's kind of what what's in process. They have not submitted their proposal. So Alice said there's really nothing going on right now, and an action alert will go out if you guys are interested. Either way, we're not trying to pick sides, but we will send out an action alert so that if you have an opinion that you would like to share at the time that you can. Then there's the Heritage Oaks Cemetery proposal. The city of San Jose is still processing the 700 plus comments they received from the public on the supplemental EIR, Environmental Impact Report. And the latest update from the planning department is that they do not expect to be done with that until late summer at the earliest, and most likely later than that even. So we probably won't have any action item or really much of an update until probably the fall. Then there's also this Great Oaks water line. Are you guys aware of that? So there's a developer that's using the Builder's Remedy. Have you heard of Builder's Remedy? Builder's Remedy is when they can bypass certain environmental laws to get developments passed when we did not have our housing, the number of houses that we're building, it wasn't updated in time. And so when that's the case, they're able to slip in these Builder's Remedy projects. And one of them is quite a ways down in Morgan Hill. I think it's by, oh, no. Sobrato. It's by Sobrato High School. So it's way down there. And Morgan Hill basically said, we're not interested in supporting this development with city services like water, and there is no water. And so they went to Great Oaks Water District, and they are asking for Great Oaks Water to create a water line all the way down there. So the issue with that is that would open up the whole corridor for more development, because then there'll be water. It's also, what we don't know who's going to pay for that. We're Great Oaks Water District customers. Are we going to pay for that? And there's just a lot of unknowns, and it
doesn't work. Okay. Talked into it. So Juan's the new guy at Great Oaks, and he took over Tim's job. Tim was there a long time. According to him, the developer's paying for the whole water line down there. So it's not going to affect us, but the development could possibly put more houses all the way up that corridor. So we have a lot of water here. We have tanks of water up there that we could, one of the certain things that how long could we go with, if the lines are broken, we have 40,000 gallon and 50,000 gallon tanks up there. So if you couldn't get water, you could take your buckets of water and go up there and get them if you had to. So that's your cert thing, is check the cert page, get some water jugs in case you had to go up there. You could get your water if we have broken lines. So they could handle the water. They might even put another storage tank in down there, which would make sense for fire and that. So we'll see, but the developer's paying for it.
Okay. So basically the update is that the California Public Utilities Commission has not scheduled Great Oaks application for a hearing. We will probably receive a notification of that and send out a notice when that happens. Meanwhile, the Builder's Remedy project that the Great Oaks line is intended to serve, which is called Petal Fields, has begun the CEQA environmental review process. The draft EIR for the Petal Fields project is to come out in July, and then that's when members of the public can submit their comments. So we will probably send out a notification of that at that time. So those are the updates for Coyote Valley development.
It seems like they bought a couple more parcels. Sorry, we were at the open space meeting when they were talking about the battery thing, and they also were talking about having bought a couple more parcels that they are then going to turn into open space. So there's a lot of great progress happening in Coyote Valley.
Yes.
And making it more
and it would be a shame if there's this big old battery storage in the middle of the most pristine part of Coyote Valley. That's my perspective. Sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I scrolled too far. So Heritage Oak Cemetery, anybody not aware of that one? Okay, the Heritage Oak Cemetery is being proposed off of Bailey on the kind of between McKean. It's kind of up in the hills as you go over Bailey. So if you're going over Bailey to say Clara Lake, it's going to be on the left side, kind of towards the end as you come back down to McKean.
And it's not just on the hill. They're going to cut down the hill to level it to make a cemetery.
Yeah, it includes a lot of grading. So, I thought I did read that. Yeah, they're processing the 700 plus comments, and that will be Yeah, 700 plus comments they received from the public on the supplemental environmental impact report. And they expect to be done with that in late summer at the earliest. That is part of the proposal. I think they were not going to at first, but now they are. So that's why they had to do a supplemental EIR, was because of the crematorium being added.
Okay, that's.
So I know that at Via del Oro and San Ignacio, that big, huge, used to be an empty field. And first there was one data center, now there's 2 data centers, and now they're building a third, and I think there's a 4th. So these are no. And what's interesting, I think they kind of slipped in pretty much unnoticed because it was a new thing, and there aren't a lot of houses,
It's also zone commercial, I think.
it's zone commercial, but most residences don't have to be notified unless they're 1,500 feet away. And I don't, the only the houses that back up Santa Teresa would fit that criteria. So I don't know if anybody was notified at all. It's starting to be a big deal because data centers are getting a bad rap. Greg, did you attend the meeting? Santa Teresa Bernal Neighborhood Association had some people come in and speak about the data centers. And interestingly, our former council member, Sergio Jimenez, is now the PG&E representative who was representing PG&E at the meeting. It's very interesting. So their take on things were that data centers around the country are getting a really bad rap. They are using a lot of water and a lot of energy. But they said that there are different kinds of data centers. Ours are like 100 megawatt, whereas the large ones are 1,000 megawatts. So they are claiming that our data centers are smaller and that they are not water cooled, they're air cooled. So that's kind of the gist. They said there have been some power outages down in that area, and a lot of people were very concerned. They said that none of the power outages have been tied to the data center. I brought up the fact, like, what about during a brownout? Like when everybody's using the air conditioning during a heat wave, and they did acknowledge that yes, that could cause some burden, but they also said that the data centers would be the first things back online. And so the residences around them, because I think it's hard to isolate a data center, right? It's kind of that area of the grid is off or on. So they said, yes, it could put more burden, but also it could benefit the people around it because they'll be first to come back online. Yeah. Did you attend that meeting with? Santa Teresa.
They did.
The tiny homes are. No, that's further over. It's on the that big square.
It's on Via del Oro.
They're there. They've been there for a year and a half, 2 years already.
That's.
Yes. No. Sobrato donated or leased for a year a piece of property. It's right across from that square, that big block square. It's on Via del Oro and San Ignacio. It's there. It's surveying about 150. I think there's 150 tiny homes. I don't think it was ever proposed for Santa Teresa. Yeah, and we haven't heard. We've heard El Camino still owns the land, but I don't think that there's any plans.
Yeah, I think their plans have changed.
And interestingly, I just read an article that El Camino is planning to build a $1 billion hospital somewhere over by somewhere in Los Gatos. Yeah.
It may be that now that's too small a space for what they need.
Yep.
Well, at least I'll be happy to have my private room. Yeah, from the chat.
So we have some questions. Michael Van Dam was asking a question. Water it we use to keep everything green all the time. Oh, I think that may be about the cemetery.
I think they are going to do reclaimed water. So they will be recycling kind of the same water over and over to the extent that they can. Yes, I think that was if the backup generators for power outages, definitely the data centers do. That was one of the more controversial issues because they have to turn it on to test it. I don't remember how often, but once or twice a month. And people were worried about the noise. I think they're gasoline backup generators, if I'm not
They're
mistaken.
diesel generators.
Diesel. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we had 2 items on the agenda that are kind of not happening because the SJPD has not arrived, and we got word that Councilmember Casey is not well tonight, and he's not coming. So, but we had some good discussion on some things here. And Greg can add something about the SJPD.
I'll add something about SJPD. I had a presentation at another group that I belong to in which, remember Captain Donahue from the past, a long time ago? He is now involved in different aspects of the police department. And he gave us a description of what the San Jose Police Department's doing in terms of what they call it redistricting. They have 16 beat systems in San Jose now where the police officers have to stay in their beat when they're doing their daily job. Well, they brought it down to 12, I believe. And the next biggest thing that they're doing is they're going to start using GPS so that when a call comes in on this block, 2 blocks over, the nearest police officer who's in the area will be able to go to that site. And it won't be the way it is right now. If I'm sitting here and it's 2 blocks over, but it's not in my beat, I can't go. That's kind of the way it is. Pretty much technically I can't go unless I guess it was a major deal. But so that's one big thing they're doing. They're kind of redistricting and having less, their plan is to try to have a faster response time. That's the whole thing that I know about that. And another thing that I learned about from him is that people say that we don't have enough police officers in San Jose. One of the reasons is there's not enough police officers joining the academy. For some reason, maybe the housing costs in this area is too high and there's guys don't want to join the San Jose, or San Jose has a bad reputation. But he said that the compensation, the salaries of the San Jose Police Department are very comparable to localized places now. But one of the biggest problems of not getting the police department filled with more police officers is because there's just nobody going to the academy. That's another thing I learned from him is that illegal fireworks that you guys have heard about recently, they're going to start using drone technology. I think there's going to be 5 spots in San Jose, and I'm not going to tell anybody where they are. Yeah, and so they're going to centralize in those spots, and they'll be able to, if they see something happening on top of a fire station, they're going to have a drone take off and go over there and start taking pictures. San Jose has something what's called a social host ordinance, in which if a police officer finds somebody's lighting a fuse in front of your house, and he lights the fuse and then he goes running into your house and watches it blow up, that owner of that house can get fined. Not just the person who lit the fuse, but the guy who owns the house. So that's Karen, I'm coming over to your house. So that's what I know about the illegal fireworks in San Jose Police Department. In terms of Mr. Casey not being here tonight, I'm very sorry he couldn't be here. I've seen him on the council chambers sometimes supporting what our people here like. He's pretty supportive of the people in our district, as far as I can tell. So I've asked, Hema, one of his District 10 staff members told me that, sorry, he couldn't come tonight, but send us what you want to know and we'll try to put it out to you in writing. And the thing that I've asked her before was the general plan 4-year review, the residential zoning that's going on right now in terms of allowing people to tear down a residential single-story house and build a maybe 5 or 6 unit complex right there. He's against that, and he voted against that at the meeting this week. So I've asked her to give me some updates on that, the residential zoning, a further update on the police redistricting and the illegal fireworks. So is there anything else that you'd like to know from the police department or District 10 council office? Yes.
A car or like the way, yeah, photographing potholes and fixing stuff. And did that ever happen? What's the status?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I could bring that up and say, is there anything in the future for that? Thank you. I'll ask that question.
Why don't you cover what he's on? The video you sent out about the taxes. I don't know if everybody caught that. The approval by the council with taxes. You sent that out. It was kind of interesting. He was against it somewhat, and they voted it through. So that's why your taxes are going higher on stuff. Garbage, all that stuff got approved. So wait till July and start collecting cans.
The answer to Michael Van Dam's question, the vote is not finished on the council. If you want to go talk about it, go to the August 18th council meeting, and we're trying to get like 600 people to go there and express themselves one way or the other.
There's a question on the battering plant. Is there nothing we can do except wait to approve or disapprove? There will be a hearing, and that's when we will put notice out to our email list, et cetera, and post on Facebook, et cetera. That then is the time for comments.
Maybe we get another $1 million now. Well, yeah.
I was just trying to figure out if you were talking about the propositions that were just voted on.
They approved. We didn't vote on it. So they voted on something. Yeah, there was them voting. So hopefully we get to throw in there. But Mr. Casey did a nice job of stating that he wasn't for it. I guess Bendon also wasn't for this, but I guess they started the thing by the other council people approving, looking at it. So hopefully we get our input. We would be good to, you got to get down there in the council chambers. I'm sorry it's hard, but yeah, make your voice known.
If anybody at this meeting, either on Zoom or at this room, have anything they'd like me, excuse me, pizza, it's good, to follow up on with any of our leaders, let me know. President@LosPaseosNeighbors.com. Please.
Okay. What's next?
All right. The next thing is our presenter, Alyssa. I don't have it in front of me. Sorry. Yeah.
Bring her up.
Logalbo.
Hi,
Alyssa.
Logalbo. Nice to meet you guys. My name's Alyssa. I'm the Conservation Project Manager for the Land Trust of Santa Clara Valley. And I'm going to be talking about the preserve that you can kind of see from your guys' neighborhood. and what that preserve is. Let me go into present mode here. Yeah, so can everyone see my screen? Right. So yeah, Tulare Hill Ecological Preserve. What is Tulare Hill? It is this landmass, as you can kind of see here. I believe that your neighborhood that you guys live in is just south of this map here that I'm showing. It is a 330 acre preserve in total. 115 acres are owned by
Wait,
my organization.
You can see our neighborhood in the upper left-hand corner, those streets there, that's our neighborhood.
Oh, nice.
So we literally abut right on Tulare Hill. And
Awesome.
and it comes down to ground level
Mhm.
on Cheltenham.
Nice.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys abut on the Santa Clara County Park side of the property. Um, which is, yeah, kind of leading into my next point that I wanted to talk about is that this property is really fun and a great example of teamwork in all these organizations that have kind of mutual goals, working together to cooperatively manage the land. So as you can see, the land is kind of chopped up into big chunks. There's the Santa Clara County Parks owns a pretty large portion of the property. Santa Clara Valley Habitat Agency also owns a nice chunk of the property, and then PG&E owns a sliver of the property. And then the rest of the property is owned by the Land Trust of Santa Clara Valley. And there's lots of work that's being done on the property at all times. There's biologists that are out on the property year round doing work, but specifically really heavily in the springtime. They're documenting, trying to find any bay checker spot butterflies and taking all kinds of measurements for the property. And yeah, the primary management of the property is cattle grazing. So the great thing about cattle is they don't like to eat the native plants. They like to eat the invasive plants that were brought here by the European settlers way back when. Those invasive plants were brought over as food for these cattle. And so they primarily eat those plants down. And that allows the native plants to thrive. It really allows this property to be kind of an oasis because we know the amount of cattle that needs to be on the property, so that way the property is not overgrazed and it's not undergrazed, kind of in that Goldilocks zone. So yeah, as I said, this place is really special. It's a serpentine grassland, which means that it is made out of serpentinite soil, which is our state rock. Very nutrient poor soil, and it's ultra rare. That means that there's not really a whole lot of it left, basically, and there are a lot of species of plants that are only found in this soil. They're serpentine endemic species. So pictured is the Santa Clara Valley Dudleya. We have some of these on the property. It's one of the reasons the property is conserved, is for a whole bunch of endangered species. Santa Clara Valley Dudleya is doing very well on this property. It's a really cool succulent that grows pretty much straight out of the rocks, as you can see. Yeah, really beautiful plant. It flowers and has these really beautiful little flowers. And it is endangered and it is at times threatened by poaching, which is part of the reason we try to obscure the location of where these plants are on the property. The property is pretty big, 330 acres. And yeah, it's a really cool plant. Moving on. So Tulare Hill, you can see it on the map here, but Coyote Valley is kind of a big hot button topic right now, especially in the conservation world, because a big thing is trying to connect big habitats. So Coyote Valley is one of those corridors that connects the Santa Cruz Mountains to the Diablo Range. And Tulare Hill, we have done lots of research with our partners over at Post and Open Space Authority, a little bit at county parks as well. And Caltrans is also helping sponsor these projects, but trying to figure out the routes that these animals are naturally taking and where they're most suited to be able to go, where the habitat is the best, where there's the least amount of human interference. And Tulare Hill is one of those properties because it doesn't have really access for people to be regularly accessing the property. There's no public access to the property. Tulare Hill is a really great corridor for these critters to pass through and get across the valley. As I said, it's home to rare serpentine soil and serpentine endemic plants, like the Santa Clara Valley Dudleya. There's also the Metcalf Canyon jewel flower that is only found in the specific Metcalf Canyon, which is why the Metcalf Energy Center has its name, is because of Metcalf Canyon. So yeah, hyper specific plants exist on this hill. Very, very cool. Very unique. As I said, there are several endangered species next door. You guys probably are aware of the bay checker spot butterfly. The bay checker spot butterfly is kind of an indicator species. That's why it is such a commonly talked about critter in Coyote Valley. They kind of start to tell us when things are starting to go downhill for it and other species. Yeah, indicator species. And bay checker spot butterfly call Tulare Hill home. Tulare Hill has lots of the host plant for the butterfly, and it's also ideal conditions as far as scientists have identified. And so that's one of the things that they're researching on the hill year round, is they're checking and seeing if there's any larvae, going through their whole butterfly life cycle, you know. And they do surveys to try and determine how much residual dry matter is on the surface of the hill to be able to do the right amount of cattle on the hill, so that way it's not overgrazed. It's a very delicate process, but yeah, trying to preserve this butterfly and keep them going. We also have the tiger salamander on Tulare Hill, specifically along Fisher Creek. There is a creek that runs along the bottom of the hill between the hill and Metcalf Energy Center. And there's a lot of really cool amphibious species that exist in that creek, one of which is the tiger salamander. Another one is the red-legged frog. Red-legged frog is also a very commonly talked about species in California. Really trying to save these little guys. They're doing pretty good, at least in the region in Coyote Valley. They're doing just fine, in my opinion. We also have the western burrowing owl on top of the Tulare Hill sometimes. They're not a year-round species. They migrate through, but we typically see a couple of them at some point around the beginning of the year. Around January, February is typically the time that they migrate through. But lots of birds call Tulare Hill home and Fisher Creek home. They pass through. Yeah, lots and lots of critters along this hill. It's a very, very important ecological area for these critters to be able to utilize. So here are some more of the native plants at Tulare Hill. Here's a great picture of the Dudleya flowering. We also have the dwarf plantain. This is that host plant for the butterfly, which means that the butterfly feeds on it when it's a caterpillar. And this is what it kind of needs to survive. And my favorite thing about Tulare Hill is that springtime, it really just erupts in flowers. This year was not the best showing in my opinion, but in past years, it's been really spectacular. This is a picture that I took up at the top of the hill just with my iPhone. And yeah, this is just a small fraction of it also. It really blankets the entire hillside, and it's just this beautiful yellow and purple array of flowers. And that's typically the season that we do our wildflower tours and bring people out to the property so they can experience the property and see the wildflowers and yeah, experience the beauty of Tulare Hill. So yeah, access and protection. Tulare Hill is not open to the public, as I said. This is very crucial to be able to prevent disturbing these endangered species. They don't really like encountering people. We have badger on the property, and badger are pretty notorious for not liking to be around people. So the fact that they are passing through that hill is great, and we want to keep them going along that way. And we try to limit the amount of people going on the hill, basically. There's not people on the property. There's people on the property, I would say probably once a month. We are also doing some restoration activities along the base of the hill in Fisher Creek area. That's why we have people on the property a little more commonly than we typically do. But that's another way that you can get involved if you're interested in helping join in on those restoration activities. We're always looking for volunteers. Um, so that gets into my next point. How can you visit Tulare Hill? You can come to our wildflower tours, or you can come to volunteer on the property. You can shoot me an email. This newsletter at landtrustscv.org email is the best way to be able to get on that list, or you can just go to our website and scroll to the bottom. There should be a sign up for our newsletter banner, and you can pop your emails into there and you can stay informed about our current properties. I typically will do like a property profile because our organization holds conservation easements and property all over the Santa Clara Valley, about 3,000 acres around the Santa Clara Valley. And I like to give people a little glimpse into them because they're not publicly accessible, but it is important that they're preserved. So I think that ends it off. Yep. Any questions?
I have a question. So have you heard that wildlife overpass? Have they talked about that anymore? I know they did one down south. Are they talking about it or anything being happening with that overpass? If you
Yes,
know.
it's currently being heavily researched, basically. It's kind of in the works. That's one of the things that our partners over at Post are working on. I know that that's one of the big projects that they're working on right now is increasing wildlife connectivity specifically through Coyote Valley. I know that they're talking about doing a wildlife overpass similar to the Wallace-Annenberg crossing down in SoCal. That one, they're trying to make sure that they place it basically in the best spot. So they've been doing lots of studies and they've been really just trying to refine exactly where that best spot is. And it's also a process of buying the land on the either side of the property to be able to construct the overcrossing. But the other thing that they are working on right now in coordination with us, because we have one on this property, is underpasses, basically box culverts that go underneath the highway. We have one on our property. That's one of the ways that critters get across the 101. They get from Tulare Hill all the way over to Basking Ridge, basically. Coyote Ridge from a box culvert that's going to be that is on our property right now. It's not in the best shape, and so we're working on restoring that and making it more utilizable for more species, basically.
Can deer go through that?
Not right now, but they will.
Okay, good.
Um,
Yeah, we need elk in our backyard. Up on that hill, that'd tear
Yeah.
everything up. There's a great video of the coyote and badger working together over there. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. I mean, yeah, for them to work together is pretty good. He digs and they come out.
You
Yeah.
just have to Google coyote and badger and it will come up immediately.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
if
know
you
the
haven't
one.
seen it, it's worth Googling and seeing it. It'll make you smile.
Yeah. Yeah, my window knows the comment. It's just good. Yeah, I'm just on Santa Clara County Parks today, walking on the Warren Path, the SCC path. Sorry, the SCC develops hills or here you got your glasses on. What the hell?
Okay, I'm going to start over. I was just on the Santa Clara County Parks part today, walking on the Warren Path. Will SCC develop this so people can easily climb up it at some point?
I'm not sure. As far as I know, it's not in the works, but honestly, I'm not privy to that information. All I know is that our property is not going to be publicly accessible. But as you guys saw, the Santa Clara County Parks property is quite large. And getting people up there would be pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I think there are concerns about the fragility of the species that are there.
I don't think they want to do that, frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's a top priority at all. Yeah.
And I think they're afraid that of people unsupervised being there.
Yeah.
So then I think Mike also had I guess, informational that Dudley Shelley is a plant if you want to look it up. don't know if
Yeah, that was the Dudleya that I had in the pictures. The
Yeah.
Santa Clara Valley Dudleya.
I have a question for you, Alyssa. Can you just tell us a
Yeah.
little bit more about the land trust and what it does and explain what a conservation easement is?
Yeah, so the Land Trust, we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are not a government agency. We are independent. And the Land Trust basically preserves land. That's the best way that I can put it. We preserve land and we're not part of the government. We are separate. We were formed back in 1998 by a group of folks who were really interested in preserving the Santa Clara Valley. There was a lot of development pressure, especially back then, and it's only gotten worse. And we needed to kind of create a vessel for people to be able to protect their land and not feel like they were going to have the public basically accessing it. And so that's kind of where conservation easements come in. Conservation easements are basically a mechanism where the land trust doesn't own the land, but we have the development rights to the land. So you people who have a good chunk of land, like at least 25 acres, are typically the lowest acre number that we'll typically look at for a conservation easement, but a good number of acres that are undeveloped. If they have maybe one house on there, that's fine, but we limit the development potential and we basically give them a tax break also because they're not allowed to develop that property. And the conservation easement is in perpetuity. It goes with the deed. It's a deed restriction. The only thing that can override that, I think, is eminent domain. I think that's the only thing that can possibly override it. But yeah, they're pretty airtight in my opinion. Conservation easements are a really great mechanism for conserving land, but still getting people connected to the land, or at least accessing it in the way that works for them and their family. The Land Trust, we are, yeah, like I said, a 501c3 organization, and we have 15 conservation easements now. We just closed a couple of deals at the beginning of the year, which is really exciting, but we have just about 3,000 acres under conservation. About 2,500 acres of those is conservation easements, and the rest is owned by the Land Trust. A lot of those acres were actually donated because of mitigation. Mitigation partners, or not mitigation partners, we're not partners with developers. Developers are developing land. Basically, they need to be able to mitigate that. They need to put back into the ecosystem the land that they're taking out. And so they need someone that's reliable, reputable, a accredited land trust is basically the words for it. Approved by the National Board of Land Trusts that we are good and we are up to snuff to be able to care for land. That's part of the reason that we have the Tulare Hill property is because of the Metcalf Energy Center there. Not great that the energy center's there, but it did fund about 30 years of biological research on the hill, and also the hill itself. So yeah. Sorry, that was kind of long-winded.
Oh, thank you. That was helpful.
Yeah.
We know a little bit about Metcalf. A few years ago we were dealing with a grant that we had to vote on, a participatory budget process where several neighborhoods abutting the Tulare Hill and the Metcalf Center had to vote on develop projects to benefit the communities. They originally had planned to have, Metcalf had planned to have, in part of their original environmental amelioration agreements, they were going to do testing of the air for pollution. But then eventually they figured out that that wasn't feasible because you can't tell where the pollution came from, so that it wouldn't really accomplish anything. So in an urban area where there's, lots of things going on. So they gave $1 million for these neighborhoods to vote on community projects. So we have, thanks to Herb, we have solar operated lights in the park, and we have a sunshade on the children's climbing structure.
Nice.
And we have security cameras in the neighborhood that were funded out of that project. So Metcalf actually isn't as dirty a name in this neighborhood now because we actually got something out of them.
Yeah. it's good when you can get something out of them, in my opinion. As long as they serve a purpose and are able to fund some good stuff, then it's like, okay, a necessary evil. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alyssa. This was
Yeah.
fun. Thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed. Have a great one. Thank you.
I believe that's about it.
Got one thing. Wildfire. Have you had a wildfire thing up there? The fire department's doing well.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wildfire. They're doing wildfire fire departments going to each area districts to do a wildfire. Captain Ibarra was doing it, but he's moving out, so there'll be somebody else. But if you haven't been to one of the wildfire talks, it's good to find out what you need to do in your neighborhoods, in your own properties to keep foliage away. You guys probably, well, yeah, 3 fires last year. So that's kind of scary for him. And their house is right there because it butts up right to the houses pretty much, right? Are they cleared? Have they cleared around on the? Okay. You guys over there talking about your stuff.
Sure. So because our neighborhood, Basking Ridge, is surrounded on pretty much all 4 sides, including Coyote Creek, we're very, we take weed abatement very seriously. So we're almost doing that year round now. Last July, we had a 3-alarm fire in the creek, was started by a homeless person. They know who did it. But we also had one in October, another fire in October. So we work closely with the county to get Coyote Creek cleaned up. We work with our landscape companies to do a lot of weed abatement around the homes. But a lot of it is also up to the homeowners themselves. They need to take responsibility and do their part as well. We do have the fire department walking around our neighborhood, passing out flyers, how to prevent fires, how to clean the area around the home, the 30 feet clearance. So we're very active in fire prevention and weed abatement. So I wasn't here when they first started the development. I do know what one aspect that we had was we have one way in and one way out on our road, right? So one way in, one way out, Basking Ridge Avenue. It's from Silicon Valley Boulevard all the way down to Metcalf. And at the beginning, the developer wanted to extend it and open it up to Metcalf to make it a thoroughfare, an access point off of Metcalf Road in 101. Fortunately, we had some neighbors who started the neighborhood association, and working with the city and the developer, they were able to defeat that. But back to the wildfire part about the homes, I'm not sure. I don't think they put that into consideration. So.
That development was not built now. 1, 2. I know exactly what you're talking about because I've gone on that road thinking that I've gone on that Metcalf. No, it's off. I've gone on Metcalf Road thinking that it went through, and I kind of thought it was a shame that it didn't go through. But it also would have been safer for the neighborhood had it gone through. It's actually quite dangerous because there's only one way out.
Yeah, so we do have an access road, which is owned by the rancher up there. And if there is an evacuation, we have access to that road.
Can you open the gate?
We could open the gate.
Okay.
So if there's an evacuation, the access road is used only for evacuation, not for coming back into the community. We have access to the gate.
Big old bolt cutter.
Metcalf has a little problem with the pigs or javelinas. Do you have that same problem over that way?
Yes, we do. We do have a pig problem. Fortunately, this year It was very minimal as far as the damage goes. But there has been some trapping in the neighborhood. We've seen some pigs actually been shot with bow and arrow. So,
Well, thank you, John. Appreciate you being here tonight. Appreciate you being here. We really like the association that we've have developed over the last several years, couple years. Thank you a lot. One more thing. and
Yeah, I
that's
just think
it.
about, I
The
mean, we're,
beach is getting cold.
is working with John. So if there's something going on in that neighborhood, we're going to have a drill this next year to go in Los Paseos. So if you guys need a bug out, we could do it down at the park. Kind of thinking about, our neighbors up there, if they need help, they've got the radios. We've got radios up there, and they're heavily, doing emergency preparedness. I think he did one last year, right? So yeah, we're gonna, help our neighbors out. That's what we're talking about. And neighborhood emergency preparation is working together to fix this stuff.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And anybody on Zoom, thank you a lot for being here from the Zoom world. I would like to thank you. And if you have anything that you'd like to add right now or say, let me know. Yes. Hold on a second. We haven't.
I just want to say that we've had.
Hold on a second. Did you want to say something? No, Barbara, behind you, over there.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. We kind of snuck in at the end of your introductions, but my name is Claudia Cortez. I'm with my colleague Yen Dinh. We're with the City of San Jose. We work with the Neighborhood Engagement Team. We're under the umbrella of BSJ. What differentiates our team from the rest of BSJ is we're not out, clearing the unhoused or, the dumpster days. We're not doing any of that. We are the neighborhood engagement. So we are aware of their services and we come out into the different neighborhoods and you kind of share that resource with folks. In addition to, we do some capacity building workshops, and we also host forums, and then the neighborhood conference at the end of the year. So we just wanted to introduce ourselves. I think I've spoken to Greg a few times over the phone, and I know we've met at one of our leadership workshops, and just kind of introduce ourselves as your liaison. We oversee the districts. We support neighborhood associations in District 7, 9, and 10. So we're trying to make our rounds as we learn of meeting schedules and cadence and such. We try to kind of, work our way around to get to know folks and kind of hear. It's interesting that the needs of this community here are completely different from perhaps the needs of neighborhoods in D7. And so, some of the challenges that you guys are kind of working through are very different and very new to D7. D7 is dealing with other issues, because they're more central and there's more unhoused folks kind of, in those areas. But we wanted to invite you all to the neighborhood forum coming up on June 27th. We'll start kind of passing this around. It's actually the planning department is going to be there. So you guys are talking about and had questions about the zoning and the building. And so come out. That'll be your opportunity to ask some of these questions to the department who is reviewing the 30-year plan. So the city does have a 30-year development plan. And they revisit that plan every maybe 4 or 5 years. And they're going around hosting different sessions and gathering feedback from community. I was able to attend one in East San Jose not too long ago and was able to give my input. And so come out. We try to make our workshops and our forums interactive. And so I know that, our supervisor Marisol has incorporated some time for you guys to ask questions and get some feedback, input into that session. We're also passing out a flyer. We partnered with Aki, which is a nonprofit organization, to host an event at Happy Hollow. And so from that, we were able to get this kind of resource of free backpacks. So they have a free event. It's a back to school health fair. And at this health fair, I think they host this annually. They're going to be giving away free backpacks to kids who may be in need of one. And it comes with all the school supplies to get them ready to go for the the new school year. This event is going to happen August 8th. It's a Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Aki Community Health Center off of Moore Park Avenue. But it's open to the entire city. So we have some flyers that we want to share with you. The other thing is, as I was mentioning, we do host these monthly workshops. Capacity building workshops is what we call them, but there are a variety of topics. Just this month, we hosted one on, was it last week? We hosted one on how to outreach to your neighbors through digital sources, digital means. So social media. Do you have a Facebook page? Do you have a website? I think Los Paseos is pretty, up to tech. I'm seeing your camera here. It's super, super cool. But I will share this. I think we've shared it before with the leadership of the association. We can leave a calendar here. They're intended for our neighborhood association leaders, our board members, but really we don't turn anybody away. Any resident, any volunteer within a community who wants to come out and be a part of these, we welcome everyone. The next one is July 21st. It'll be on just general outreach and canvassing and tabling. To build stronger connection in your community through outreach and canvassing and flyering and that kind of stuff. So some of the things that we also support with, Yen and I, depending on the needs of the neighborhood is, do you have low participation? Do you need us to come out? Do you need help with creating a flyer and knocking on every door and inviting folks to your community? Do you have issues of litter or illegal dumping or, kind of unhoused or RVs? And so if those are the kind of type of issues that you're seeing around in this area that you need some support or just connecting with the right folks at the city, you would kind of go through us and we would make those connections for you. However, I get the sense that you guys are very well connected, with your council member, with the fire department, with your captain. And so, however, we're an extension of those departments and we try to support and kind of get you to the right people depending on what your need may be. I can't promise you a great, because I am just the kind of middle person, but we put that out there to our departments and then we try to get the help to come out.
Okay. Beautified grants. You guys handle that?
It is not us.
Okay.
It is an administrative team over at City Hall on the 9th floor. They're the grant making for Community Impact
Okay.
Unit. They're the ones who manage the funds.
Okay. Because I got a bone to pick.
I think a lot of us, I think including some of the staff,
you guys
do.
hit it because you guys got to fix some of it. And helping us would be with other support and services would be great. I know maybe there's not that much money there, but other services would help our neighbor association. Would be good to know that they had one of these in January over at Southside, I believe. Okay, and they're still looking.
Quarter.
Yeah, and they were looking for some tax money. Is that still on the
Measure A passed?
Okay.
And so that did help the budget.
Okay.
And so we did have a contingency plan built into the budget proposal. But with the passing of Measure A, which is that tax on the hotels, we, some of the programs and services that were on the table to potentially get cut are essentially saved for one more year.
Okay.
However, we are facing a deficit. We're already forecasting a large deficit for the next year. And so I know the different departments are looking at
the sugar
some cost
tax
control measures.
Well, I saw the sugar tax they were pitching.
Yes.
Another tax.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it fairly go through all the departments.
Yeah.
To support that if we do those taxes. So
Have you guys ever had anyone from the mayor's office come out here and
yeah, I get
present?
it many times.
Clara.
Yeah, Tara.
Yeah.
Get Macavedo, he's back. So
Yeah.
we need to talk about that. But when we have these different departments, they all have their little empires. So we're kind of finding out what we can do and how we can do it. And then there's going to be some changes.
Yeah.
All right, John, you gonna help me? Yeah, there you go. All right. Here.
Question.
Here, give him a mic.
Thank you. My name is John Petrak, and I live on
Sure.
Via Serena, which is just down from the firehouse. And a week ago, Monday, we were broken into.
Okay.
And I just want to let everybody know to be aware. It seems like it was a burglary of opportunity. As near as we can tell, they saw our garage door open, waited till we left, and then jumped our 8-foot gate. So that's wasn't as deterrent I thought it was. I called 911 when we got home and found it. That was not a good experience. I waited on hold for at least 5 to 8 minutes. If I was having a heart attack, it could have been disastrous. However, once I got through to the operator, she was very helpful. She said she would send a police officer out, and that community service officer showed up within, I would say, 45 minutes. So that was really appreciated. He was very thorough, took pictures, looked for fingerprints. We have Ring cameras. They had a Wi-Fi jammer and jammed the camera. My neighbor across the street had a hardwired camera and was able to see them. It was two guys, one guy in a car, two guys with masks, hoodies, and gloves. These guys knew what they were doing. So I just want to let you folks know that our neighborhood is not as safe as I thought it was. And I would suggest don't leave the garage door open before you leave any length of time, because I think this is what happened. They saw it because we know the car was there, and then they jumped out 2 minutes after we left. Thank you.
So yes, stay alert, and yes, any valuables, make sure they're not visible. I think that our community resource officers are still kind of a fairly new thing, and so I think it's great that they have the community services officers, because they do come out and deal and handle with some of those issues that are not necessarily an emergency, an 911 emergency that requires a police officer to be out here. And so I think it's a great addition, and it's something that we should continue to fund and to have. Some of I don't know if you guys have learned, I'm sure you guys have, at the D10 leadership meeting not too long ago, they talked about the flock cameras. And so some of the information that you guys are able to provide to PD, they're able to take that, and as it comes up or it shows up at the different flock cameras are out throughout the city, that's how they're able to catch some of the folks that are making causing these troubles in your neighborhood. And so it's great that you guys have some already existing resources to be able to capture this information and share with PD, and that's important. Continuing to make those phone calls, to make those reports so that it's documented, and they're able to find the people who are coming out here and causing those damages to you all, and disturbing your peace, really, essentially. But if you don't have your captain here, have you guys reached out to your crime prevention representative to come out and give a report in lieu of your captain? Yeah, okay. Yeah, because it's a crime prevention specialist will sometimes come out and just give you that update, that report, and give you a little bit more of what's been happening in the last month here, specifically in Los Paseos. Okay, perfect. A presentation. Yeah. Yeah. I usually try to get them if they tell me the captain can't come to some of the other neighborhoods I support. Neighborhoods that neighborhood associations that we're developing. I ask then if the captain can't be here, the lieutenant, then can you send me a crime prevention specialist, and just to make sure. There are some areas of the city that get more break-ins, more violence, more disturbances than other areas. I think it was an unfortunate situation for you all, but I think Los Paseos is still a pretty safe place in comparison to the rest of the city.
Every time we get a report that we're one of the safest in San Jose, but this event here doesn't make you feel that way. But it's horrible what happened to our friends here.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But they did pick up on our cameras, the LPR, the license plate, although it's probably the stolen car.
But even I've heard some stories from the new data system, the data analyst with the new flock cameras, and it's pretty amazing with the things that they can do and how quickly they can resolve them. And so the fact that you're able to capture this information and share with them, I can almost guarantee they're really working on it, and something positive will come out of it. So again, apologies for the disturbance, but just make sure your valuables are not visible, and don't leave your garage door open. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to make our announcement.
Sit down. Yeah.
A lot of cities, they used to do that.
Thank you very much for being here. We'll be in contact with you more. Thanks. Yeah. All right. I think this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for showing up.